Hello awesome people, I hope you are having an amazing day today. So today I want to take a look at the final extant short serial from the Doctor Who's first season. The next one, Reign of Terror, unfortunately doesn't exist in archives, although there is an animated version of it, which I've seen, and so forth. This is the Sensorites for you folks. It's from 1964. It's a 6-part serial that we'll be doing a review of today for my Serial Saturday, which I like to take out and do some reviews and that sort of a thing on the lost serial art. At the time, serials were a big deal, particularly in movies, the cell movies here in America, and then also were, as you can tell from Doctor Who, also on TV too, as a way to sort of bring back fans and engage them with cliffhangers and that sort of thing. So the idea, but most of the people haven't really sort of lasted this story in this era, right? And so this is a lost art and such. So I like to go back and sort of spend my Saturdays here talking about these sort of things. That's actually quite appropriate. First of all, because the movie serials were often seen on Saturdays and by communities. And then secondly, because the Doctor Who was actually typically shown on Saturday in this first season. So that's actually quite ironic for those reasons. So as a reminder, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Grew up loving it. I was born in '76, and I was watching a Doctor Who's The Robots of Death in Southern West Virginia on the PBS channel. Just a few years of age. I remember liking it, loving it so much. I think it's just creepy and horror, or a lot of horror-ish and so forth. Loved it lots. The robots in space from the Fourth Doctor and such. It was shown on my Southern West Virginia PBS station at 6 p.m. every day from Monday to Friday on the weekdays. And then one of the things that was fun about that is that you could definitely go home and watch a lot of it very, very fast and such. And so I watched a lot of it. Rather than my friends who would be going home from elementary school and watching E-Man or G.I. Joe and that sort of a thing, I was going home and watching Doctor Who. And Doctor Who was a big thing, right? Even in West Virginia, growing up. It was right. The local channel would regularly have who-a-thons and that sort of a thing, or make you choose and vote for them and make pledges and get a lot of money that way. From the public, from the Doctor Who stuff, right? I remember once I wrote, do you want to watch Vengeance on Bardos from the 6th Doctor, or do you want to watch something else, right? So basically I watched up through the 5th Doctor's, 4th Doctor's generation into the 5th Doctor in Castrovalva and Legopolis and that sort of a thing. Loved it lots. Through the 5th Doctor I saw all of his stuff roughly about the same time as it was being watched here in the UK. I loved it lots, and then I saw the first season of the 6th Doctor, and that was it. They had run out of the current stuff during an 18-month hiatus, so they went back and were showing the first Doctor stuff, the black and whites. And so I saw the Unnerving Child right after the 6th Doctor and so forth. So I actually saw a lot of these on TV on PBS. Good stuff. Loved it lots. I think there is some value because the Doctor Who is such a British institution, right? For having an outside voice. So hey, what do you think of it? For example, Star Trek is made in America by Americans for all the shows and such, starring Americans, made by Americans, and that sort of thing has a definite American bias, right? Too. But some of the best channels on YouTube, like Trek Central, are by UK people, right? In the British Isles. And because there's some of them are from Ireland too. But they do some great stuff, right? Even though this is, their sort of style of thing, they use their words like torch and that sort of thing. But I like it, and I think there's, remember this is my second highest rated show from this era in sci-fi only, behind Babylon 5 and ahead of my dad's Star Trek number 3. Sorry, Dad. But So this is a beloved thing. So I do think there's value in having that outside perspective. All right. So now, what do you want to do? Since this is the last one from the first season in Doctor Who, do you want me to continue with the second seasons? The next one would be The Planet of the Giants, or do you want me just to go ahead and go back to other serials? I can do whatever for you want. Let me know in the comments below what you want. Thanks. All right, so now as a reminder, this is a 6-parter at 25 minutes long. It's the second to the last one, like I mentioned earlier in season 2. Before in season 1, this and then the next one doesn't exist in archives. I don't, because many of these like Marco Polo just don't exist in archive and that sort of thing. So what do you want me to do and that sort of thing? Cool stuff. I will link you to this on BritBox and on Amazon.com on home video. You can choose whichever one you want in case you haven't seen it, so you want to follow along with me. As a reminder, if you are review spoiler free, so I'll be doing a deep dive into what happens. This still stars as First Doctor William Hartnell, my favorite Doctor now. The First Doctor, his granddaughter Susan Foreman is played by Carol Ann Ford. Jacqueline Hill is the history teacher. She gives a lot of context for these historical serials, like the previous one, The Aztec, heavily influenced such, in order to provide a what's happening and so forth for characters as an instructional. And then also and then William Russell is playing Ian Chesterton, the other teacher from our era. He's a science teacher. Oftentimes, especially after the previous one, no spoilers, but he oftentimes will come out as the action guy, doing all the action scenes since the First Doctor. William Hartnell's so old and such, right? That's Ian Chesterton. Great stuff. This is still produced by Verity Lambert, the first female producer in BBC drama's history. It's directed by 2 people, Frank Cox and Mervyn Penfield, for you folks, and it's written by Peter Newman for you folks. And so this is a sprawling political drama across the interactions of 2 races, humans and Sensorites. It's set on and about the Sensorite home planet of the Sensor. It has lots of people that are there for sure. It has 3 base humans and an astronaut that are explored, that are astronauts and so forth. Well, one of them, mineralogist, that's John. And then he's played by Stephen Dartnell. And then the Sensorites have some good guys and some bad guys that will interact with. The good guy, first Sensorite, is played by Ken Tyleson. It could be Tyleson, there's an E in between. And then the third Sensorite, who's the primary antagonist, is Peter Glaze for you folks. And so those folks will interact with our primary antagonist as this big giant political drama sort of unravels between the meeting of these 2 species and so forth. Just like the Edge of Destruction and the Aztecs that I previously reviewed for you folks, this is definitely heavily influential on Doctor Who 2. For example, the Edge of Destruction's revelations about the TARDIS and what it's like. It's definitely a key part of what the TARDIS will be like later. And the Aztecs, even the idea of things can't be changed in history, even though we might want to. And even Barbara, I would argue, is the first time in a story that a companion is the key character rather than the Doctor. You might argue it for an episode or 2 here and there in the series, like Geese and Marinus, or the first one in The Unearthly Child. This is definitely the first story, the whole entire story, where the Doctor's just trying to get back to the TARDIS. He's not trying to do anything major, right? Whereas Barbara is trying to change history, and so forth. So that's also pretty influential, and you'll see that later in modern Who too, even that aspect. But this one has some impact, not as much as the previous 2 on Doctor Who 2, like what Gallifrey's like, what the Time Lords are like. We're going to find out a lot of backstory with Susan. Susan's also psychic and can communicate with the psychic Sensorites very, very strongly too. We'll also find that out. And we'll find out more about their home world, or about the race. Schultzman, the entire soliloquy, talking about our home world to one of the Sensorites who asks her about, and that sort of thing. Give heavy, nice descriptions and so forth, and we'll see that later on too. So that's cool. So we'll find out a lot of information about the Time Lords, race, and home planet, California. It's not named here though. So this can be a little bit slow at times with 6 episodes, particularly the first 2 episodes that are set in a spaceship, which feel like filler to get to the planet. I feel like you could have just not like maybe a scene and then got to the planet. This can be a bit slow at times with its drawn out 6-part pacing and so forth. It's rated as a 6.9 on IMDb by fans and so forth who have gone back and rated something around that up to a 7. I'm sure you would be happy with me doing that because it's actually just right at it, and like 6.5 or something. So the first 2 episodes feel a little stretched out because they're in space, and at the end of it they go
each of the planets and sphere, and stuff that feels a little stretched out. I think they could have better done that with just a theme and moving it right onto the planet so that you can get to the good stuff and such, right? This is also our third political drama in the first season, where our TARDIS crew arrive and they turn around and try to get interactions, and they try to ally with various people against an evil faction that's trying to take them out. And that was done in an Earthly Child, the first episodes, and then the previous one, the Aztecs. And I feel like the Aztecs just nailed that concept massively well. And this one just doesn't feel like it's doing a good job of it, right? Particularly at the third episode. So remember, this is the third sci-fi serial after the Amazing, the Daleks, and then the OK, and even at times, Keys and Meredith. This feels like the third and that worst option. It doesn't make sense from a script perspective to have 3 political dramas in the first season, and then another one right after the Aztecs, which just nails this so well. And so forth, and it's slow at times. It could be an easier 4-part and that sort of a thing. And so, because of that, I'm giving this a 5.5. Sorry, Doctor Who fans that like this better at 7 or 6.9 or whatever, or even 7.5, whatever. I'm done giving this. I'm taking off a 1.5 from what it's getting online. For all the reasons that I stated, I think that this could have been better done as a 4-parter, or just removing the concepts and then the basic core plot line of this being a political drama, and just sliding right on into the other stuff, right? And making it more about the impact of these two cultures clashing together, and instead of a political drama, just make it like a real drama, like fights and such. And that sort of thing. I think that would be better to start a story and what's actually happening and so forth.
All right. So as a reminder, because this is our third sci-fi film and also the third political drama in a row, right? It just doesn't hold up. I'm removing a 1.5 from the 7 that it was getting down to a set that 5.5 for you folks, because it doesn't hold up with the political drama aspects on the plot line, or it's the time wasted on this shape in the first couple episodes that doesn't influence the rest of the story. It doesn't set up anything that's going to happen later on. Right, like Chekhov's gun, right? Where you're supposed to, like, if it's going to be somewhere or be mentioned or have a scene in the first, then it should be, be involved at the end. It's not. So for those reasons, it's a 5.5 episode. Sorry, Doctor Who fans, if you like this, and so forth. But there you are. So what do you think about this episode? Have you seen it? If so, what did you think about this? Remember, I'm not a trained fan. I'm not a trained critic, right? I don't do videos. I don't do like movies and that sort of a thing. I'm just a fan of the genre, right? So what do you think? Your opinion's just as valid as mine. Do you agree or disagree with my 5.5 out of 10? If so, let me know in the comments below whatever your thoughts are. Just keep it spoiler free. Thanks. If you like this video, why not hit the subscribe button, the bell icon to be notified of my videos, the like button too, and let your friends that Doctor Who fans, serial fans, old sci-fi fans, because these things were made for older folks, right? I enjoy going back and watching them. And then remember, next week we'll either be doing Doctor Who's Planet of the Giants, or moving back to the movie series. So just let me know in the comments below what you want me to be doing. And then I'll just do what you guys want. And then finally, I want to thank you so much, for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, right? Because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it so much. So thanks again. And then remember, our channel is named The Worst Thing About New Books. It's a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? This is definitely smaller stuff. Very influential, like I mentioned before. But it's really more of a serial, and in this case, a story that you're watching, but you get the idea, from decades ago, more than 50 years ago, and that sort of a thing. So you get the idea. But there you are. Thanks again, and have a great day.